Hello and welcome. I'm Ziggy the Wine Gal, and I'm in residence here at Chateau Montelena with the ultimate father-daughter team, Bo and Remi Barrett. How you guys doing?
We're doing good,
Doing
Zig.
good, thanks.
Yeah,
Great. Well, I
excellent.
think we need to pass the wine around, huh?
Yeah, so let's get
we're going
going.
to start with the 2012 Chateau Montelena Chardonnay, Napa Valley. One of my all-time favorite quaffers, I have to say. Let's see how this is smelling and tasting. We're thinking about the holidays right now and family traditions and things that happen around the holiday table, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to talk about this incredible Chardonnay and just some of the things that fulfill your holiday table and what you guys do around the holidays.
The holidays are one of the things we do. Like I think the Cabernet, I think the crab is a big deal in Northern California. You know, crab season's going to open this week,
Right.
and really for Christmas and New Year's, typically we'll have crab, and so the Chardonnay is just epic.
Perfect.
Perfect with it's like that all that California. The good thing about our ocean here, it gives us beautiful products too. Whether
Right.
it's the crab and the salmon, they both work great. And so that's the one that I would say with the Chardonnay was the primary one. With the turkey, because we shoot wild turkeys because they're, they eat our grapes in the vineyard, so we get even. And so in November,
And that's what you have for Thanksgiving
and
dinner.
we get
then.
Thanksgiving, and sometimes Christmas if we're lucky enough. But that's why so that's really more of a red wine, even though it's a bird. But the
No,
Chardonnay
I
is
like
really
the
good.
Chardonnay with turkey too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the wild turkey is quite a bit stronger.
I mean, I can't imagine with the diversity of your dinner table that you wouldn't have more than one wine glass at every place setting.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Mention the people that are joining on camera.
Okay. All right. Is that true? Yeah?
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah. Monique's on camera. Hi, Monique. Welcome.
Oh, hi. I don't know if you guys can see me or not, so I'm just like fiddling around and tweeting and stuff.
Hey.
Is it too soon to say happy holidays, or can we say that?
I think it's official now.
Well, harvest is over, so it's always a holiday now.
Well, welcome. Do you have some questions about the Chardonnay or pairings for the holidays?
Well, yeah, it's fabulous. I'm kind of curious a little bit about holiday traditions. Something that strikes me particularly about this Chardonnay is that it's a 2012, and I got married in 2012. So for me, it's like that year has a significance and a meaning. Around your guys' house, do you bust out old bottles that have meanings and that sort of thing for the holidays?
Do you bust them out?
Yeah.
We do. We like to have sort of a mix. We sort of burrow down in the cellar and pull out a couple special things, and then we have a mix of newer things that we're excited about too. So like for my mom's wine, which is La Serena, we have a brand new Grenache, so we're really excited to try that this year. I think it's going to be really good with turkey and cranberry sauce. But we do like to pull out some older wines too, some magnums of Chardonnay and stuff
Yeah.
like that to welcome people to our house.
So I was going to say, what we do is our Chardonnay is basically designed to age. It's one of the few American wines that are Chardonnay that are made to age. So the magnums of Chardonnay are just spectacular because that's really what it's designed for. So typically 7 or 10 years old is our Chardonnay. And there'll be more than one open in the course of an evening. That's what we like, the nice aged Chardonnay. So that's really is a tradition with us. And if the 12 was your wedding year, you should definitely get some mags because they last a long time. We like 20 years sometimes. They're just excellent aging for Chardonnay.
Well,
Oh,
and
really? And talk a little bit about the vintage in 2012, because it's supposed to be spectacular, right? 2012 and
great
2013.
vintage.
Yeah, 2012, 2013. You have to, Napa Valley, everybody looks at the red wine vintage as like the big, gets all the press. But the Chardonnay here in Napa is super. The reason it kind of rules the world is so reliable. Every year the Chardonnay is good. So the Chardonnay in 12 it's really kind of, it's not really remarkable being super excellent like the reds or the anomaly because the whites here generally are quite great. They always get, the Chardonnay always gets ripe. So then it gets the finesse things. It's basically how cold it is at night. And so the 12 is a really good vintage because it was kind of colder at night and kind of a delayed vintage. And that helps the Chardonnay a lot. It's quite a bit, makes it age better with the more acid. So it's a pretty good one for the agers. So that's what I say, get a mag and you'll be happy.
That's right. I'm always happy with the larger formats. Great. Well, thank you for your questions.
Thank you.
Speaking of large formats, I think that goes for the Cabernet as well. I mean, I'd love to pull out some older, larger formats of Cabernet too.
Yeah, well, Magnum is really only 2 bottles.
Right.
And if you have at our house, typically 10 or 12 people for dinner, you can go through, Magnums
I
in an
bet.
astonishing clip. So the Magnums are good, but in whites, there are no antioxidants. So when you bottle a white wine, it gets the same amount of oxygen exposure through the cork that we get in the 750, but it ages, it's exponential, so it ages exponentially longer. So a half bottle would last, 1/7 the time, but a Magnum will last 7 times longer. It's quite remarkable. So it really makes a bigger difference. In red wines in general, Magnums, it's a very fun and party, and it's celebratory, but I don't think the aging really affects big red wines like our Cabernet as much, because they're just so loaded with antioxidants. They protect themselves.
Right. Wow. Well, we have Amy on with us now. Welcome, Amy.
Hi, Ziggy.
How are you?
I'm good.
Great. So do you have a question for us today? We're talking about wines and holidays and traditions.
Sure, I did have a question. Since Chardonnay kind of put you guys on the map, do you find yourselves working harder to get the perfect Chardonnay every year, or do you just try to get the perfect wine every year?
Well, it's kind of a long story. The Chardonnay, incredible as it may seem, was started as a cash flow product to get the Cabernet going. And the second one out of the gate took off when the Paris tasting. So we kind of got married to that style, and it's been successful for us now for 40 years. But in the Cabernet, when we started selling the 78 Cab in 82, for years and years, we were known as a Cabernet house, and we kept making the Chardonnay quietly in this kind of reserve style where all the other California Chardonnays went to the more opulent, whether it's the Rombauer, KJ style, that softer, more user-friendly Chardonnay. We always made the lean, traditional white Burgundy Chardonnay, and that really helped us get the Cabernet program going. And it really wasn't until the 30th anniversary of the Paris tasting, George Tabor wrote the book, The Judgment of Paris, and really the film came out, that our Chardonnay kind of got to be super popular again. So we always had made the wine. It just got, now we find ourselves that we're renowned for the Chardonnay again, because people went back to that style, that pure vineyard style flavor, not so much oak, not so much butter, not so rich, and the country club Chardonnay, but more of a traditional white wine. So we find ourselves in a position where it's really strong for us that we have this. If you think about white wine making as a watercolor painting, where you can paint well, and red wine as sculpture, we do that well too. So it's not, they're two different media. So does that answer the question?
That's great. Thanks.
Wow, I like the analogy with the painting. I think
Yeah,
that's
well, when
good.
you're making white wine, if you think about the white, the texture of the media that you're going to paint on, but the winemaker adds color to it. Well, I'm going to use this yeast, or I'm going to pick a little bit riper, get some botrytis. So you're always adding a piece to it, but what you pay with it is the fresh fruit. The white goes away every time. So in a minimalist Chardonnay like this, there's lots of the fruit, and there's not that many of the colors. And if you do a malolactic, that's like spraying color over the whole canvas.
Right.
There is no more white. So this is just in a pure winemaking sense. If you think about white wine, and it doesn't have the antioxidants, the phenol, the tannin, the chemical structure to protect it. And that's why the allegory I use, the metaphor I use, is making red wine as a sculpture, because you have that tannin to give it more depth and more time.
More length, yeah. Got it. Wow, well, thank you very much. All right, Amy.
We have some questions from the online audience.
Oh, we do.
Go ahead and
Awesome.
take them.
All right, what do we got here? Let's see. Okay.
I didn't bring my reading glasses, so
All
I'm
right.
not reading that one.
Benito Wine has a question for Remi. What was the first Thanksgiving and or Christmas that you got to try wine?
Basically as far back as I can remember, which is, I can't speak to before I can remember, but yeah, basically as long as I can remember. When we were kids, we had these really cute little tiny wine glasses that were sort of made for dessert wines, but they were like the perfect little kid-sized wine glasses. So my sister and I got to use those little glasses, and we would just put in like 2 drops of wine and then fill the rest up with water. So we were able to toast with the family and really be included. And I think that was really awesome. We always loved that, and it made us
That's
feel
a great
really special.
question.
Yeah, it was
Everybody
a lot of
wants to
fun.
know.
So ever since then, it's been a big part of our table. So yeah.
All right, and Bottle Report wants to ask if you make any larger formats than Magnums, if you have anything larger, 3 liters, 6 liters.
No, of course, yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, we
Excellent.
make. Actually, we're one of the 2 wineries that has the large bottle specialty filler that does vacuum and everything. And so
Oh, really?
yeah, it's a big part of Chateau Montelena's program is making large format bottles. We make nothing larger than a 6, though. Then it becomes kind of crazy. Well, once in a while we made a few.
Then it gets
But
crazy.
yeah, we make 3s, 5s, and 6s, and quite good numbers. The Estate Cab primarily, and in Chardonnay, occasionally we do a few double mags.
And so those are available to purchase from your wine club or
Basically at the
tasting room?
winery,
The winery
yeah.
director. All right, so we have a question from Wine Curmudgeon, who says,
Somebody stole my name.
and he says, what's the difference between your approach to Chardonnay and other Chardonnays that are being made in the Napa Valley?
That if we circle back to my allegory about the painting, there's a lot of people who use a lot more colors than they use everything, because if you recall, I said we have to choose the color to paint, and so if we're using only the vineyard as our primary thing, so we layer different clones and different vineyard flavors in our wine, and as opposed to the hand of man. And many people want to use Chardonnay to express their skill set and their talent set, which is
Right.
they're going to use a lot of oak or batonnage to stir the yeast, and
Right,
all the
right.
hand of man. So what we focus on is primarily how great we can get ripe fruit. What we can do in Napa that's not really common around the world is that we get good, clean, botrytis-free, rot-free fruit every year. And that makes a big difference. And we really focus on that rather than impressing you with my skill set of how much oak I like to use, or the batonnage or the yeast, and all the other techniques used to, what we call them augmenters, to make the Chardonnay richer or better. So basically ours is, I would say that it's more minimalist than most. And also the other important thing is that we do here is we have resisted very much the higher alcohol trend. So our Chardonnay comes in, kind of in the classic Emile Pinot, 14% alcohol, right around there.
Right.
And the acid is quite tart. So we use, by not using malolactic at all, ever, our acidity is a lot crisper, a lot leaner, a lot more refreshing to drink.
And great with food.
Exactly,
I mean,
and great with
the
food.
acidity is the backbone of the wine, and what better to go with food than a wine that has a great backbone and great acidity? It pairs best, and at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's food and wine together, isn't it?
Yes, but you also have to be really good at microbiology, because the wines are not that acidic here in general. So keeping
Right.
it from going malolactic when you have only a third or a little bit under of our production is white wine, that's
Right.
non-malolactic, and the red wines are all ML positive. So you have to be a good microbiologist and keep it separate, and good cellar protocols, and a good team to keep their stuff clean.
Yeah.
The guys
agreed.
have to do a really good job.
Agreed. Well, we have Monique back on camera. Monique, do you have another question for us? And you're back.
And I'm back. See, I'm tweeting and doing all my social media
Multitasking.
stuff.
There you go.
Awesome.
Do you have another question for
I
us,
think
Monique?
that I want to read a question that I don't know if you guys can see the chat, but Amy's had this question up for a while. Amy Power, did you guys see it? So I'll read it to you. She said, this is for Remi. Do you ever find yourself comparing everyone else's wine to your family's wine as you were growing up?
Definitely. And I kind of can't help it. The way, my parents' wines were the first wines I ever tried. So for me, that was really like what wine is. That really formed like my opinions. So for me, both of my parents are mostly known as Cabernet makers. That's sort of their favorite varietal to work with. So to me, Cabernet Sauvignon is like what red wine tastes like. So even to this day, I don't really like Pinot that much. It's just not really what I'm used to. Not really what we drink. Obviously I've had great Pinots, but to me, a big red wine is what I'm more used to and sort of what formed my palate. So yeah, definitely.
And growing up and now, do you feel that sort of pressure of legacy on your shoulders, or do you feel like you can kind of do your own thing and not have to worry about, past generations and future generations?
A little bit of both. So I actually do not make wine. I do sales and marketing for my mom's wine. So I sort of lift off the burden and pass that on to my younger sister who does make wine. So I kind of get the best of both worlds. I kind of get to make my own path and do my own thing. But I also really respect tradition. I love all the old stories and so much history here in Napa Valley. I think is really amazing. So I love, being involved in that and continuing that in my own way.
And what's it like working with your family? I gotta imagine if me and my mom were working together, and my sister, we'd probably go to blows.
Yeah, I get that question a lot, and my answer to that is I would not be doing this job if I A, did not like my mom, and B, did not love her wines. So for me, I feel really lucky. I've always gotten along really well with my mom, so when she offered me the job working for her winery, I thought, this is awesome. I've been doing that for almost 5 years now, and we're an awesome team, and I think she's really happy to have me on there too. So.
That's great.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Monique. We have a couple questions
We'll
here from
switch
some
over.
bloggers checking in. Benito
Right.
Wine wants to know, Bo, what is your favorite recipe for one of the wild turkeys that you've been eating, that have been eating your grapes?
Yeah, the wild turkeys that have been eating the grapes. Yeah, revenge is sweet. If you don't mind, I want to switch over once. The favorite recipe, what I do, the trick on the wild turkey is you have to brine it because there is no fat in them whatsoever. And so you brine it, and what I use is a water smoker, a cold smoker, and I use it about halfway through there and then finish it in an oven. And very critical to use a meat thermometer. But yeah, just in the brine I put soy, ginger, sesame oil, and ancho chilies, and I brine it for about overnight, and then put it in the smoker just with water, and then take it out and finish it in the oven so it doesn't get dried out.
Also, your gravy is amazing.
The gravy's a whole other
He's the turkey master.
Okay, so now we're going to switch wines to, we're going to try the 2006 the Chateau Montelena Estate Cabernet. So we'll switch over to red wine now. It's a cold November night up here, so red wine's good.
Red wine is good.
California cold, right?
Yeah, California cold, definitely. Hasn't frosted yet. If anybody has been out, I don't know, but the vineyards are just spectacular this year because we haven't had frost yet, and the colors are just phenomenal every day. You know, driving around, it's like,
Beautiful.
wow. Yeah, you can see the virus now.
It's beautiful. So, I had a girlfriend asking me about that this afternoon. She's like, Zig, I see all these beautiful vineyards with that gorgeous dark red and the burgundy. Is it supposed to look like that? I'm
No.
like, yeah, it has a virus.
Yes
It
and
doesn't.
no.
Yes and no.
So now that we've got this 06 open bottle report is checking in, asking what is usually the optimum time to drink your Cabernet? Now I know what I would say, but what would you say?
They're designed to do. We think that the aroma and bouquet, we pack in a lot of fruit, so that circles back to what you want. Because if you think of the bouquet, the aroma bouquet is what comes from the fruit. Bouquet is everything else. If you want those in balance, they're designed to be, 10 years old is probably in balance as the bouquet starts building up. Some people prefer them younger with mostly the fresh primary fruit going on. That's pretty popular with America's North American trained palates. But our wines are designed to kind of go into stationary orbit at about 10 years old, where they really go into balance and they'll just hover. So that's kind of the design focus of the Cabernet. Because we designed this wine to age. We think that's a really important thing.
This 06, I mean, is just drinking beautifully right now. I mean, it still has so much more room to age. But
Yeah,
it's just tasting delicious.
The fruit is just dropping down now because now you can get the vineyard and more of the soil components and all the other, as I said, the bouquet is just building now.
Yeah, it's tasting really nice.
So it's getting there.
So I've got a question here. Grape Belt is checking in saying 2006 was an inconsistent growing season. Do you recall any worries or challenges that you might have faced that year?
Well, here in Montelena Estate, we're farming at 500 feet. And if you think about Calistoga, where we farm as an extension of the mountains, the way our vineyards face, they get a lot of sunlight. And if you think of a vineyard as a solar collector, how you face the sun is how you ripen red grapes. So our vineyards are really exposed. And so we picked really early. But yeah, 2006, we came out of the 3-4-5, where it was, cold and hot and cold and hot. But the 6, it was just here because we picked so early. We don't see a lot of the challenges later in the year of the late fall rains and things like that. So we typically tend to be very early picking when everybody else is picking Chardonnay. We're picking Cabernet. We pick here on this 100-acre property for 6 weeks.
Wow.
So I don't remember anything really distinct about the 2006 other than it was, that series. It wasn't like the 12, 13, now 14, where it was easy walk in the park. When they're challenging vintages, I've been doing it now 40 years, so I don't remember anything being horribly bad on that. Not like 10, 11, where it was just freezing cold. And it was kind of like we were in working in Austria or something.
For sure.
Yeah.
We have Amy back online with us. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Ziggy.
She's got some food down there.
I had another question. So many of my friends are vegetarians. Now, I love a good steak with a calf. But for a vegetarian, what might you suggest as a pairing for your for your 2006?
Portobello mushrooms.
Yeah, I was gonna, without a question.
Maybe that's
That's
like the obvious
easy.
answer, but I love it. I think any mushrooms with it, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, it is because
Especially-
our Cabernet, yeah, it's.
As we go into, the winter is mushroom season. and
I,
you can
that's
find
why
some
you
great
saw me
wild
smiling at
mushrooms.
Remi on that one. I know what
Like,
she's
we
gonna
were-
say. We mushroom hunt too, and we like to go mushroom hunt too. But the portobellos, we don't find those in the wild here. But yeah, the fungi are
most
really
kinds
good.
of mushrooms I think would be great.
And I think that you could also make a really cool fungi pasta with a little bit of a richer style with maybe some stock
Red
reduction.
sauce with a
you know.
little wine in
Yeah.
there too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I
the
agree with
fungi really, the stronger, meaty, bosky mushrooms do great with our Cabernet, and
Yeah,
that's
I
quite
agree.
common at our house too. And I also have make the walnut pasta, which is you just whip up the walnuts and water, so you make fettuccine alfredo with walnut instead of cream, and it's really good too.
Well, that
Because
sounds
well, the
delicious.
bitterness of the walnuts
Sounds
goes with the
delicious.
bitterness of the wine. Yeah, that. The
What has she got?
Brian wants to
Thank you,
know. Brian
Brian.
wants to know what's that fillet there.
Yeah.
He's getting
Yeah.
hungry.
We see that you have a little pairing set up on your table there, Amy. What do you have?
I have two things. I have a salad with buttered lettuce, some bacon peachy vinaigrette on in a baguette with baked brie on top. And then we have a ribeye, and we did a little of the mushrooms. Now, I can't really take credit for it. I just bought the stuff. My husband does everything. So we have mashed potatoes, pretty classic, and a nice ribeye with a pan sauce with mushrooms and a little bit of the wine.
That
Sounds
Excellent.
delicious.
Good for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Send us some.
Yeah, we need the transporter so we
Yes.
can say, and we'll steal it.
That sounds like the perfect pairing with this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
it
tab.
is. Everybody's good. That's good. But yeah, that's what I think. So you go with things that are big and strong flavored on the vegetarian side, and it works good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Amy.
Thanks.
All right. Wow. So with regards to red wine and Cabernet in particular, of course, when we started out talking about Chardonnay, we talked about your tradition of having the crab and the family gathering around the table with the Chardonnay with that. Now with the Cabernet, you think about obviously maybe some richer dishes. What traditions do you have around the Cabernet with the holiday season?
Well, it's our go-to wine, I guess. It's
not a bad
we
go-to
both,
wine, let's
yeah,
face
we make Cabernet because Heidi and I have the Chateau Montelena, of course, and then the La Serena Cab, and then we make the Barrett and Barrett, and we have so many friends that make great Cabernet. So it's really probably living in Napa Valley, you drink Cabernet. Come on,
Right.
it's like,
Cab is
that's where
king.
you live.
Cab is
When
king.
in Rome.
Yeah,
That's
so
for
so the
sure.
traditions I say that I say the tradition that I would say the simplest one. There's always a bottle of Cabernet open. I think at any dinner.
What about for like a holiday dinner in December, maybe a Christmas dinner or?
I think you can't really go wrong with almost any roast meats. It's like,
Right.
a lot of people do a variety of roast meats around the holidays, and I think it's,
Yeah.
kind of an all-purpose. It could go really well with just about anything, I think.
Yeah, with the goose, or certainly around here you can get the wild duck and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
I love it.
that
Yeah,
kind of thing.
duck
Yeah,
is
duck
my
and
favorite.
Cabernet is
Yeah.
great. So all so the fowl is good. Here we have but you always have a
nice
roast
prime
beef
rib
or
or
a
something like
nice
that,
prime
yeah.
rib or
Prime rib
a
would be
steak.
great.
Okay. All right. So we have a couple more questions. Benito Wine is asking, how does your family react to the movie Bottle Shock? Does it feel
Exactly like this.
does it feel weird to see it on screen?
No, I think we all have been very amused by it, and we all just thought it was so much fun. It was really an awesome thing to be a part of, and
Right.
we didn't really take any of it too seriously. It was very much a Hollywood movie, and so I think it was just a fun kind of surreal
Yeah.
experience
If you
for all
they-
of us.
when they told us they were going to make the movie, I said, well, it's a documentary. No. This is going to be a love story to California wine, and we think they're very successful in that. So yeah,
Right.
we're as amused as anybody else.
I think it's great. I thought
Yeah.
it was great.
No,
Fun.
it's a fanciful rendition of a great story.
Fanciful rendition. There you go. I agree. Well, Bottle Report's saying it's well worth it. The cold outside. We have a fire in the fireplace right now. Some great cheese and nuts and this incredible wine. The wines will keep us warm the rest of the night. And we had cab with the homemade spaghetti sauce with lots of herbs, and that worked really well with also Italian sausage. And I think that sounds like a great pairing as well.
Yeah, no.
Monique, we can take one last question from you. What do you have for us?
Absolutely. What do we do about desserts, and what kind of dessert traditions do you do? What kind of wines?
So, well, we typically have moved on from wine by the time of dessert, or we'll just continue with the wines we've already had. We're not big dessert wine drinkers. Montelena does make a really nice late harvest Sauvignon Blanc that's really, really nice. But of course, for Thanksgiving, we always do pumpkin pie. And my sister is really into baking, so she loves to come up with like crazy, weird, experimental desserts. So she always has something fun for us to try too.
So do we circle around to the wild turkey maybe in a glass at that point?
Yeah, the wild turkey. Oh yeah, or the local moonshiners. Yeah, they make grappa.
That's
we have
perfect.
we have some. We're in Calistoga, so some of the locals make grappa, and
Right.
we just have a little bit of that floating around.
Well, we love to keep it local, right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, what a fabulous wine, and a great way to think about holiday traditions and holiday meals, and obviously beyond the table, this makes a fabulous holiday gift, especially when you want to do it in a large format, I think. And it's the gift that keeps giving, because it's one of those things that every time you see it in the cellar, you remember the person that gave it to you, and you can't wait to open it up. So I say cheers to a happy holiday season.
Thank you.
The Cabernet is fantastic. The Chardonnay is fantastic. If you want to have more information, obviously you can go to the website. But you know what? We'd love for you to come out and visit the winery, see the family estate, and see how wonderful and fun things are out here at Chateau Montelena in Calistoga. Cheers, everybody. Happy holidays.
Okay. Bye.
Cheers.
See y'all later.
This wine is so good. It's really sippy straw. Like, what's sippy straw? It's like